Welcome back to Limitless Interviews. I'm sitting down right now with the co-owner and CMO of Limitless. It's Barbee. Barbee, how you doing?
Good. How are you, man?
Doing fantastic. I appreciate you asking. We're going to dive kind of deep into your esports experience today. Talking about stories, talking about how you got into esports, started Limitless, all of that. So I want to begin the interview with going kind of all the way back for you and just asking you, how'd you get into esports?
So game has always been a huge part of my life. I never really had the support from my parents, which a lot has changed since I was growing up and playing games all the time. But games, that was my life. COD was huge for me. Back when COD was in some of the best points of its timeline,
Hmm.
in my opinion. A lot has changed since then, but I played COD a lot. I used to play competitively. I competed for MLG, trying to get picked up for MLG, did game battles back when all that stuff was around, where Microsoft points and stuff were still a thing. And then you would compete game battles for Microsoft points and things like that.
Huh.
So it was a lot of fun. I was top 27 in the world at one point in Search and Destroy, in Call of Duty. It was Modern Warfare 2, and then I was really, really high rank in Modern Warfare 3, and then the Black Ops 2 and everything else. Um, then I went and left and joined the military, and esports kind of went away for me. I didn't have time to game, didn't have a computer, didn't have a console. I was in the military in the Navy, so having access to those things was a little bit harder
Right.
until I got out on my feet and got my own place. Then I kind of got back into gaming. And then after I got my own place, I decided to build a PC and kind of got back into the competitive side of gaming, and that's kind of where everything ended up.
All right. And when you got back from your tour away from gaming, where did you get back into esports? What was there a specific game? Was it Call of Duty that you came back to? Or was it a different game?
Yeah, so during my last few years in the Navy, I had a lot more time on my hands. So I decided to build a PC and I wanted to do the streaming thing, and I did all that.
Nice.
And it was COD, but I soon realized that trying to grow as a streamer in Call of Duty was rare. It didn't happen very often because so many people wanted to. Um, then I kind of got into Rocket League and Counter Strike. I mean, I played everything. I actually, when I first started streaming, I got into GTA RP. That's kind of what got
Okay.
me into streaming. So the competitive side of gaming didn't come around until I met Big Sin. He just kind of gave me that urge to get back into the competitive side of things and try new games and see what I was good at.
So I'm noticing a thread into the beginnings of Limitless here. How did you meet Big Sin, and how did that relationship kind of begin?
It was streaming, man. I was in California, stationed out there at the time, and it was streaming, and I ended up finding him. And I was always in his chat, I always interacted with him. He was actually on this push for partner and ended up hitting partner, but we stayed in contact. He rated me a few times. We became close friends. And I actually bought his lens off of him for his Sony
Hmm.
camera, and he so happened to live 15 minutes away from me. So
Wow.
it was kind of it was wild the way it all kind of worked out. Small world, I guess you would say now, but it was kind of wild, and ever since I met him for the first time, we just became really good friends and always game together, always hung out together, and that's kind of where we ended up.
I love that. I can't tell you how many friendships I've begun with just simple raids and chatting in Twitch chat with people. Esports and like
Yeah,
gaming and streaming is it's an incredible world.
for real, for real.
All right, so you met each other, happen to live super close to each other. Were there talks early on about starting a business venture together? I mean, obviously, Limitless isn't the only thing that you guys have going for you in the gaming space and just life in general. We were talking about how busy you are, but starting Limitless, was that something that you guys talked about early on, or did it come later?
It definitely came later. I don't think neither of us were kind of thinking about it. Maybe slightly. We've kind of had conversations like off and on, but it like like gaming organizations used to be a thing, and I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't consider us just a gaming organization anymore. They call them Twitter teams, Twitter organizations. So what they call them nowadays or back then. But being a part of a community with other gamers, it was really popular during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up joining Pride. GG Pride was a team. I think they're back up and running now. But they closed the doors. Once they closed the doors, it was shortly after I got picked up. And then I went and I was pushing to try to get picked up for Elevate.
Okay.
I really wanted to be a part of Elevate. I kind of followed in Big Sin's footsteps. He was a part of Elevate as well. I kind of followed in his footsteps. And he was, we kind of just saw the ins and out of all these different teams, and these different organizations, what they did right, what they did wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we kind of sat down and we were like, dude, what if we did our own thing? What if we started our own team and try to do everything the perfect way? Obviously, that's hard to do. You can't be perfect 24/7, but we
Sure.
definitely try to do the best that we could do to be as perfect as we could be. And that's kind of what brought up that conversation, was just our experience with different teams. And nothing against Elevate, nothing against Pride, nothing like that. Just, and we're not saying that specifically one of them did something wrong. I think we wanted to do our own thing. We wanted to create something that was ours, and that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of what pushed us to do that.
So talk about the early stages of creating a gaming organization, because you don't often see the early stages of orgs. Like you see the big brands, you see the Limitlesses, you see the G2s, you see the Elevates after they've become big. But what's it like actually sitting down and developing the foundation of an organization?
I think the beginning phase, if I had to put in like three phases, man,
Mm-hmm.
I think the beginning phase is so fun. That's where all the creative ideas, and obviously you want to keep those creative ideas throughout the timeline of the organizations, but trying to create a name and a logo and a brand and a
Mm-hmm.
slogan, and like trying to create something that everybody can build a community around was a lot of fun. I think we enjoyed that the most. Obviously, when you're trying to do something and something doesn't go your way, it gets stressful. It gets frustrating, and we've been through that. We've decided on so many different names, and we decided on Limitless, was that the one we decided to go with. But it definitely is stressful, but it's a lot of fun if you make fun, like make it enjoyable. You know what I mean?
Definitely. I mean, that's kind of the part of esports and gaming I feel like people forget about. Is just we're here to have fun at the end of the day. It's a video game that we're playing or streaming or whatever we're doing. And I think you guys have kind of ingrained that into the values of Limitless. And I'm wondering, I'm sure there were a lot of lessons learned along the way, along the Limitless journey. Do you have anything particularly that jumps out to you when you think back on your experiences so far, and lessons you might want to pass along?
Um, I think the biggest thing I could say is do the right thing. That's that, fair and simple, is just do the right thing. At the end of the day, you're a human being. I'm a human being.
Mm-hmm.
These creators and these players are all human beings. So doing the right thing, just be a good human being. That's it, man. And I think us having that mentality with Limitless has gotten us so far. Because there's so many organizations that started before us or started after us that just made poor choices and
Mm-hmm.
didn't do the right thing, and now the repercussions of that are just killing them. You know what I mean? I think that's the biggest thing that I can give advice on, or things that I've learned, is just doing the right thing.
It always comes back around to get you if you're not.
It
I
does.
think
It
that is
does.
just, it's a simple lesson, but
Yep.
it's so important to building a foundation.
Yep.
And you've seen it recently, I'm sure, in organizational news.
Yep.
But talking about more the operations of Limitless, Counter Strike and Rocket League are the big esports. I think that the organization has roots in, and I know you said that Rocket League and Counter Strike were games that you came back to when you got back into gaming. Was that always the plan between you and Sin to get into Counter Strike and Rocket League, or were there other options you were weighing?
I think those were the main two, man. I think it's obviously Counter Strike was a big one because me and Sin, excuse me, me and Sin grinded that game forever.
Nice.
So I think that was just a gimme. I kind of got involved with that with Pride. Pride had a pretty decent Counter Strike team, and getting to see the matches and stuff. And then Elevate had theirs as well. But getting to be a part of that is something we wanted. I've always been a huge fan of Rocket League and their production. Their production level is insane compared to
Hmm.
a lot of esports. So we ended up going to the Winter Major in LA at the Ram Stadium, and we looked at each other. It's like, we need to be here next year to compete at one of these events. And then we ended up going to Worlds, and we didn't have a team at the time, but that's kind
Hmm.
of where we were like, okay, next year, like, we can make this happen. And we did it. We literally said next year we're gonna make it happen, and we did it. So it was one of the coolest feelings. I really enjoy watching Rocket League. I don't mind Counter Strike, but I would definitely say that Rocket League is like what I enjoy the most. Um, I enjoy playing Counter Strike more, I think, because I suck at Rocket League, but it's
Fair.
definitely fun to watch. It's super enjoyable. I feel like I'm at a sporting event. It's the same concept, just in a video game aspect. You know what I mean?
It really is. It has such a special feeling to it, those live events and the production as well. And I want to ask, you mentioned the travel to Worlds and the Winter Major, those several years ago. And I'm wondering, do you have any specific experiences you want to share that being a part of an org ownership team has kind of allowed you to have?
Um, I think one of the coolest experiences I've had is the question specifically towards Rocket League alone, or just in general, just being
Any,
an owner.
any experiences you've had as an owner?
I think my favorite's Rocket League, man.
Fair?
Worlds this last year was probably one of the coolest experiences of my life. Especially in this scene, it's something that not a lot of people get to see. You kind of get to see the behind the scenes and how the production is set up, the schedule and the time that Psyonix and Blast and them put into um, these competitions
Hmm.
for Rocket League and Counter Strike. It's a lot. It's a lot, dude. It's a
Yep.
lot to explain. But I would say Worlds and getting to experience our team being there and seeing our logo on a sign outside of the players' tent and our practice tent at Dickies Arena was probably one of the coolest things.
What was it like seeing the guys up on the stage, the like the main stage, that the one series they got in the middle of the arena? What was it like seeing them play up there?
It was awesome, man. It was a ton of fun. Like I said, the production's wild. It's actually kind of cool on our website. If you look at our website, the main photo that's behind the website is at Worlds, and if you look closely in the image, you can see me and a few other owners standing to the left at the bottom of the arena on the floor. And it was kind of cool because we found that photo randomly,
Huh.
and it so happened to have us in the photo. So it's an experience, man. It's something I wouldn't take back for anything, and I definitely want to push further so we can have more experiences like that.
That's awesome. Well, here's to hopefully many more opportunities to
Yeah.
travel with Limitless. And shifting more to your role within the organization, we've talked about you owning Limitless, helping found it. But as the CMO, what's the day to day like with you in that role?
It's not as drastic as people would probably think it is. It gets stressful sometimes, but I think my biggest goal is meeting new people, networking.
Mm-hmm.
I've always told myself and my team around me that um, this world is all about who you know.
Right.
Um, Knowing more people and building those connections can take you so much further than a resume, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so for me, it's networking, building relationships with other brands, other organizations. That's huge for me, and that's the biggest goal. And then having the team around me to um, share a mutual benefits like between these people or these organizations or these other teams or these brands. I think that's important.
And talking about the team that you do have around you, I imagine you've got a pretty sizable say in the hiring process. And I'm wondering if, use me as an example, like if I'm looking for a position in an organization like Limitless, what are you looking for, like the qualities in a potential hire that you want to work with and bring onto Limitless? Just kind of lay out that process.
I would say we're at a point with our organization where we're not we're not the big dog. We're not the top team in North
Sure.
America. Um, So I would say we're a little bit more lenient when it comes to it, but the biggest thing for me is confidence and determination. Excuse me, for sure. Confidence and determination go a long ways, but if I sit down with somebody and they lack the confidence or they lack the drive and
Mm-hmm.
determination, you can see it in somebody's face. I was a Navy recruiter for 3 years, so
Hmm.
I'm very good at reading people, and their personalities and who they are. It was my job for 3 years, so
Mm-hmm.
understanding someone and where they come from is important to me. But be able to flip that switch and transition to somebody completely different that I wouldn't be able to tell, someone that's super confident, someone that's determined to make something happen or get something done, it goes a long ways. A lot of people think it has to do with viewership or experience, where experience matters. I don't think it matters as much as your confidence and your determination do at all.
Hmm.
If you're confident, you come into an interview super confident, or determined to fill that position, it's going to go a lot further than someone that comes in like, here's my resume. I know it's great, so you should hire me. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
just it's a big difference, and I feel like a lot of people in this world think that their resume is going to get them further than their personality, and I don't think that's the case. I think
Interesting.
personality makes a big difference.
Okay, I love that you use that background as a Navy recruiter to help Limitless find the best people fit for these positions. Are there any other parts of your military background that you found to help you in today's gaming and esports world?
I would just say my work ethic and
Mm-hmm.
discipline, man. I think a lot of people from the military can agree with me, but the discipline and the work ethic we had to have to even get through boot camp,
Oh yeah.
um, it's it's just different. It's something for me. I think work ethic is something that you can learn, but you gotta want to learn it.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to learn it, or if you don't want to learn it, you're not going to. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things you could teach in this world, a lot of things you can't. I think common sense is another big one.
Definitely.
If something seems wrong, it's probably wrong. If you don't think you should say something, you probably shouldn't say something. And less words is more. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but
Mm-hmm.
you have to watch what you say. And I currently work full time as well,
Mm-hmm.
aside from Limitless, and that goes a long way in my full time job. I have to watch what I say because certain people will take it the wrong way,
Mm.
and it doesn't help me in the end. It's just gonna hurt me. You know what I mean?
Definitely. That makes sense. One of my favorite quotes is a Shakespeare quote: "Brevity is the soul of wit," because less goes a long way for
Yep.
sure. But shifting focus a little bit too, like you said, you work a full time job, and I know you said you have a kid on the way as well.
Yep.
I mean, how do you juggle all of this? You said your work ethic's there; it's strong. Obviously, it is. But how do you keep your head on straight with everything going around you?
It's a lot, man. I think my biggest support system is my wife for
Mm-hmm.
sure. I have a super supportive wife when it comes to Limitless, when it comes to my job, when it comes to school. And with her, I'm grateful with her. She gets to be a stay-at-home mom. She stays home 24/7. She does a lot of things around the house. It helps me that I don't need to do those. I get dinner every night. So
Hmm.
my wife's super, super supportive and helps me out a ton. I think that goes a long ways. And then just having a good support system around me, people like Big Sin, Yo John B, even people like you, or Five's Corner. There's a lot of people that I can name that I can give shout outs to. Um, but having a good support system around you matters. People, like-minded individuals who have the same vision as you, who believe in your vision,
Mm-hmm.
who can see you being successful. It plays a big part in my life, and it pushes me to do the things I do even more.
And what is that vision for you for Limitless going forward? Kind of thinking long term ish. I mean, what is that vision that you want your support structure to help you achieve?
To be honest, I can keep it short and simple as
Sure.
we just want to be recognized. I want to be at the top with everybody else. I want to be at the top with 100 Thieves. I want to be at the top with FaZe Clan. and we'll do everything we can to get to the top and be one of the best teams in the world. Um, but it takes time. Things don't happen overnight, and we understand that. But that's the biggest thing for me is we want to stop.
All right. Look, I love the vision that you and Big Sin have led Limitless to achieve so far. I'm looking forward to the future, Barbee. I appreciate you sitting down with me. That was a fun talk.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you.